Hey YouTube, it's your girl Javina Love back with another video. Welcome back. Welcome back. How are you doing, my busy bees? Staying busy, I hope? The air conditioner blowing my hair up. So it's making this side go but I am keeping it sexy as always. And today I want you to try my very new Flash Dance palette. I got this from Solar Looks Cosmetics. You haven't heard of Solar Looks? You better ask somebody, and I'm here to tell you about it, okay? It is a beautiful company. They have themed palettes, like they got the 90210 palette. They've got a part one and a Brenda loves Dylan, Dylan loves Kelly palette. They got a few lippies and this palette, which is all mattes. And you're like, why would you need so many mattes? And the pans are huge, and I understand. Well, mattes can always help you with a little bit of things, you know. Plus, they also help you. Some people just love mattes. And I do. I love mattes. And sometimes I'm not always wanting to be so shiny, especially in the fall. You ever notice how we're not so shiny in the fall? We'll put a little highlight on, maybe body shimmer, but we're not necessarily wanting to have a lot of shimmer on our eyes. And that's where this palette came into mind. And it's perfect for somebody who doesn't know or just getting into colors, but also wants a neutral with a little pop of color. I'm using my Brow Bar by Rima the pomade that's for to highlight your underbrow as my eyeshadow primer because I have a lot of stainage going on. I was using a palette trying to give it another chance, throwback palette, you know, revisiting it, and the poor thing just, she stained me real good, but the color just didn't stay on my skin at all. I was like, whoa, how are you gonna stain my skin but fade out all that beautiful color I put on, even after I've stuck it on with a wet brush and the whole 9 yards? Child, I was heated. Excuse me. Got a little asthma cough going on because of these California fires. But I'm going to shape my eye. That is very important when you're using a thick pomade like this, because she's quite thick. You want to shape it before you really get started. That way you don't have so much to clean up afterwards. Okay, so I'm going to go in with my every time I look for her, she want to be gone fluffy brush. Here she is in a color switch. Since this is all mattes, and you can use all of them, but I'm not going to do that. I'm not going to torture you. I think I'm going to do Alex and Jeannie, and then there's Manic and Passion. So let me try to hold it without breaking her. As you see, the names are right there. Oops. Because she's got a big mirror, but as you can see, the names are right there. And I've always do a color like this. So there's Alex, Jeannie, Manic, and Passion. And Passion is a super dark, rich brown. So I think I'm going to do these two. And then a little brighten up on the inner corner eye, which I'm going to use first, which is Alex. Ooh. Yes. Little tap off. She is quite dusty. And that's only because of this brush. And I'm going to use that to set my eyes, basically. That's why I want to put her in the front. Because I'm going to use it actually all over. I'm just going to use Alex all over. Tap, tap, tapping her in. And set that eye. So yeah, she is quite dusty. So that is something to look forward to, I guess, when trying this palette. But I am enjoying the color. Like, that is a color like no other. To you, I know you can't really see it, but it's like a mauvey brown, light mauvey brown, a really, really light. And what I'll do is I'll do some finger swatches to show you. That way you can really understand what I'm talking about. See how light Alex is? She's a very light mauve brown, and then that's Matte Genie. Manic, which is kind of a matte purple blue, and then that's Passion. So I put that Alex all over to set my eye, so that works out perfectly. And I'm going to use the same brush and go right into Manic and start her on the outer 1/3 of my eye. Ooh, yeah, pigment comes right through. This is an indie brand, Sola Looks. Ooh, Lord, she spread. And this is the first time I've ever visited this palette, so first impressions, blends beautifully, like, wow. I have used their products before because I have the 90210 palette, and I have their Charmed palette. They have a Charm palette that is off the chain. What I'll do is I'll leave those two in the description box if you want to check those out. Those two videos that I did with the Charm palette and the 90210 palette. They are beyond beautiful. But this is a really nice color right there. And I'm just going up to my crease with it. Make sure it's all nice and even. This is going to be the first, like, really simple eye look that I do, but also a little, I'm going to make it a little difficult because why not? These colors look perfect for a cut crease, don't they? A flesh tone cut crease, which I find to be super cute nowadays. I used to not like it at all, but now I'm like, oh yeah, I can see it now, why you used your concealer to cut the crease and then left that space, empty space. Especially with Elizabeth Wolf, that looks so pretty. But I want to pull that all the way in because I want that all over my body kind of look, you know? Manic. Make me want to panic. Alright. Then without any color switching, I'm going to go into that brown and deepen out the corner, Passion. And just kind of go back and forth right here on my edge. And I'm lightly touching in the pan for this since I've learned I learned not to swirl. I was swirling, y'all, and almost wiped out the whole manicure. But that is super pretty, and I'm not scared to go over because I haven't done my foundation yet, so it's okay that I'm going like on my kind of like under my cheek eye bone area because, you know, you girls got hooded eyes and I got high cheekbones. That's just something I was blessed with. Alright, so now let's go back in with the little micellar water that has no oily base and clean that up. And if ever you try to do a cut crease and you don't feel that it's working out for you, if you want to get your crease base to sit well, excuse me, with my asthma again, goodness, I was told by other, you know, watching, not told personally, but by reviewing other people, to use a Q-tip and some micellar water and clean up that extra little bit of eyeshadow and primer that you have here that you may have accidentally put over, you know, a little bit too much, and so it may make it hard to cut the crease properly. Okay, and I'm going to dry that with the other end because I want it to really pop with that color. So I'm going to use the same thing that I used to set my, not set my eye with, but I'm going to use the same brow bar color, but I'm going to use it on a concealer brush. Back of my hand, kind of warm up the product. And get that in there. Because this is not really the proper, I would say, the proper concealer you would want to use to cut the crease with. Because it's not a concealer. It's not something for the crease. It is meant to highlight under your brow. But it does work. It does work for this. And whenever in doubt, open your eye really wide and you can see where you can, you know, have to put it a little higher to go over that cut crease. I mean, go over your crease line when you have hooded eyes. But once again, like I said, this is not the proper crease cutting material, even though there really is no wrong way or right way to cut the crease. But there kind of is, I think. Especially when you see those YouTubers that can go and put a dab of it right here and then open their eye and then they have their perfect shape. That must be something a little bit more watery consistency, because this is a very dry, like cream to powder consistency, if that makes sense. It's extremely cream to powder off the bat. Alright, let me get a clean brush and go back into Alex. Ooh, keep forgetting. She a little dusty girl. And I'm going to tap Alex back on that concealer so she pop. Now, would I recommend this palette? It is not necessary. It is not necessary unless you are really, if it's like, if you're not going to use it, if you feel you're not going to have a need or you're not going to grab for it because it only has 4 colors in it, then bypass it. You know, it was $35. But if you are like me, who I wear a lot of matte colors in the wintertime or in the fall, then by all means hook yourself up, because you're not going to be mad at it. You're not. So now I'm just taking Passion and Manic mixed together and bringing it to the edge of that cut crease to kind of blend it out and deepen out the outer 1/3. And it works so well mixing the two colors to create your own color. And don't be scared of that either. If you ever don't know what a color will turn out to be before it touches your eye and you're like, oh, I don't, just for example, I don't think I'm gonna like that color mixed, but you don't like it by itself either, try it on the back of your hand. She girl's real dusty. I had to blow that away. She was real dusty. Try it on the back of your hand, or and that's what I do a lot. I will take 2 colors, just for example, and I will mix them just to see, dusting it over my finger, what color it would make. Manic by itself and Passion by itself. You see it? And you got that gradient in between. I hope that helps you understand, what I'm talking about. Always, I feel that your hands are your best canvas, really, for when it comes to mixing and matching colors. If you're trying to understand a certain color, definitely mix it on the back of your hand. And you'll see, you'll be like, oh yeah, I totally love it. So now I'm going to go back into the palette, since I've already cleaned up underneath my eyes, and we're going to smoke out the bottom lash line. And because I want it to be a little sparkly, I'm going to use this Ciate London Vacay setting spray and Genie under my eye, but not all the way. because it's not going to be too sparkly at all. See, it's just going to be a little touch of color right there. Don't want to close off my whole eye. That's one thing I don't want to do with a hooded eye. I personally like cutting off my eye, making it look small, but I've learned that big eyes are in. Did y'all know that? Big doe eyes are in. And I can't make my eyes any bigger because, you know, they were born very small and very tightly cut, you know. So let's try it. Let's add our liner. And I'm going to use the Tarte two-sided liner. If I cannot break the tip again. I'm closing my eye to tight line, which is going to add liner on the top and the bottom lash line at the same time. A lot of people can tight line by just holding it up and doing it under their eye like that. It would cause me to tear really bad. So the best way for me to do it is to just close my eye, relax it, and rub it back and forth, and you'll get the top and the bottom lash line. And now I'm going to take the felt tip side and try not to have to go all the way in to cut it. And I'm stamping it on my lashes to get it as close as I can to my lash line before we attempt to do anything else fancy, you know what I mean? And it's kind of hard doing it. It's kind of hard to do a cat eye or, you know, fancy eyeliner lines like these young people today. I mean, it's not like I'm 100 years old or anything, but I've been around the corner and block and back again to the point where I'm like, you know what? These young whippersnappers, for real though. Okay? But I love the way this one does it. And I just like flick a little bit at the end here, and then I'll just drag it. You will definitely, if you keep practicing, because practice is what makes perfect. Oh, practice makes perfect, and talking and you get a spack right there. But practice does make perfect when it comes to your liner, honestly. The more you practice, the more you'll get the hang of it. Now, the reason I'm not touching it is while it's wet is because it will smear. I'm going to let it dry a little bit. And then I'm going to take a Q-tip and I'm going to dab, dab, tap, tap, tap it to dry it, you know, to pick it up, that little splotch. That way I don't have to go over it over and over and over and then lose my cut crease. For mascara, I'm using the Ipsy slash Betty Boop. Because it gives me that false lash look without really having false lashes on. Don't get me wrong, if I could put my false lashes on without having this cast on, it would be awesome. But it's so hard for me to do it without my thumb. Because that's the bone I broke, was my thumb bone. The bone behind my thumb itself. So it's not as easy to hold tweezers without your thumb. But so this is a little bit of old micellar water. It's still wet. And I'm just gonna close my eye and tap, tap, tappa. And I mean severely just tapping lightly. And kind of not dragging it. I'm literally just tapping and raising the Q-tip. Tapping and raising the Q-tip. You see that? And I'll go over it with a stiff dome brush. Tap off any excess. and go right on top of that bad boy. Because I didn't take off any of the concealer at all. There we go. And then bring that down